delighted to welcome you to the 14th Jaipur Literature Festival, protected by DITOL. It is our pleasure to present Your Best Day is Today, Anupam Kher in conversation with Sanjoy Roy. Celebrated actor Anupam Kher's latest book, Your Best Day is Today, is an enduring narrative that encourages us to take a pause and consider and appreciate the smaller things in life. An amalgamation of experiences, lessons, and positive takeaways, the book attempts to present a guide to connect with your inner self in order to cope with these difficult times. In conversation with Sanjoy, Anupam delves deep into the importance of adapting to change and the necessity of knowing that you are not alone. Anupam Kher, as you all know, is an award-winning international actor, author, and motivational speaker. Best known for his prolific career in Indian and international cinema. He has appeared in over 500 films and 100 plays across a span of 35 years, having played iconic characters in critical and commercial hits such as Saaransh, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, Karma, Khosla Ka Ghosla, A Wednesday, Special 26, Maine Gandhi Ko Nahin Mara, and The Accidental Prime Minister. Anupam Kher is a member of the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, America. In 2004, Anupam Kher was bestowed the Padma Shri Award, followed by the Padma Bhushan, in 2016 for his distinguished service to the arts. Anupam established Actor Prepares in 2005, a world-renowned acting school. He is also an acclaimed author with 2 published books, Lessons Life Taught Me Unknowingly, an autobiography, and The Best Thing About You is You. His 3rd book is Your Best Day is Today. Anupam Kher is the only actor in the world who has staged his own biography in the play Kuch Bhi Ho Sakta Hai, which has completed over 400 shows worldwide. Sanjoy Roy, an entrepreneur of the arts, the managing director of Teamwork Arts, which produces over 33 highly acclaimed performing arts, visual arts, and literary festivals in 40 cities around the world, including the iconic annual Jaipur Literature Festival, international editions of JLF, and the launched during lockdown digital JLF Brave New World series. He's a founder edition and trustee of Salam Balak Trust, providing support services for street and working children in Delhi. Sanjoy works closely with various industry bodies and the government on policy issues in the cultural sector and has lectured and collaborated with leading international universities. Please do remember to comment by typing it into the comment section. Ladies and gentlemen, your best day is today. Anupam Kher in conversation with Sanjoy Roy. Over to you, Sanjoy.
Thank you so much, Ankur. Anupam Kher, welcome. It was an absolute delight to have you in JLF New York, where we were part of your book launch, your earlier book launch there. And always good to welcome you back to the Jaipur Literature Festival. This new book of yours, empathetic, sensitive, and perhaps reflective, with a touch of sadness. I'm going to start by asking you, what I loved was when you talked about discovering or rediscovering Bittu. Tell us a little bit about Bittu.
I'm very happy to be part of this literature festival. You people have done amazing work in the past. And it was wonderful to launch my autobiography at the Jaipur Literature Festival in New York, Lessons Life Taught Me Unknowingly, which was about Bittu. So Bittu is my ghar ka name. I was born in Shimla, and everybody has a nickname. And Bittu grew up with a family of 14 people. Bittu's father was a clerk in the forest department who used to earn 90 rupees. And those 90 rupees, we had to work out how somehow to finish that 1 month. Because of the small town and a poor family background, Bittu had to dream a lot. Bittu used to dream about one day becoming popular, one day becoming known. Bittu was not good at studies at all. He never got more than 38% marks ever in his life. And he was not a great sports person also. In fact, once he was running and his PT teacher told him, even if you run alone, you will come second. So that finished his career as a sports person. So as a child, I as Bittu, always wanted things to become better. But we were very happy in this poor atmosphere of poverty. We did not realize that we were poor. So much so that one day I asked my grandfather, Dadaji, हम इतने बहुत गरीब हम इतने खुश क्यों हैं? Why are we happy we are so poor? His reply was amazing. He said, when you are very poor, the cheapest luxury available is happiness. So Bittu grew up with this warm, crazy family of 14 people, cousins, Tayaji, Taijis, Chacha, Batija, Dada, Dadi, listening to Mahabharat stories, Ramayana stories, old tales, grandmother singing a lullaby. Um, so that is the basis. And Bittu has a great sense of wonder about life. Anupam Kher carries the burden of being Anupam Kher. Anupam Kher is the introduction that Ankur gave me, this Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, 518 films, all Filmfare Awards in every category, international actor. But Bittu is the person who keeps reminding Anupam Kher that, my dear friend, always go back to your beginnings, because that is where the joy and charm of happiness starts from. Every time I feel elated, my happiness doubles when I think where I started from. This is a picture of Bittu's first ID card. He was 15 years old. This is a picture because he had joined NCC, National Cadet Corps. ये मेरे ऑफिस में रहती है, मैं अपने ऑफिस में बैठा हूँ इस समय. ये 1955 का मेरा डेट ऑफ बर्थ लिखा है इसमें, और इसमें जो डेट भी लिखी है वो 1969 की लिखी हुई है. So I keep this every time I start feeling, oh my God, I am the most happening person on earth. I just look at him. The other picture, it's so strange that you asked me this question, is a picture of me getting the Padma Bhushan from Pranab Mukherjee, and next to it is Bittu's picture. And पीछे क्या लिखा है? कुछ भी हो सकता है. So never have I let Bittu disappear in my life. Bittu is my reference point to reality, reference point to making myself more happy, joyous. When Anupam is sad, he says to Bittu, or Bittu says to him, "Yaar, tu 37 rupees lekar aaya tha to Mumbai on the 3rd of June 1981. Today, you're doing much better." So Bittu is my coach, Bittu is my psychiatrist, and Bittu is my reality. I think that's...
Anupam, you talked about one room, this enormous family, happiness being, what you could afford. And that was the most exciting thing. Those dreams of Bittu, fast forward so many years, 4 decades in New York, overlooking Central Park or whatever your apartment was. You write about how, as Christmas was approaching, you felt the chill of the city, somewhat cut away from your large family, yet with all your dreams in place.
Yes.
You picked up the phone and you spoke to Herman. What happened?
So I called up Herman, and I had never heard the word pandemic in my life. Lockdown to मैंने सुना ही नहीं था. Lockup सुना था. I called up Herman, my manager, and I said, there is a conversation happening around about some virus over here, and what do I do? And he said, I think you need to come back, because even in India, they're thinking of the flights. Air India flights will stop. Other flights had already stopped. I was also shooting for New Amsterdam. I could feel the stress whenever we were shooting in an actual hospital, Kings County in Brooklyn. There was this hushed things happening. And finally, my friend Anil Kapoor said, you have to come back, because I've come to know that day after is the last flight. And that is the day I picked up my luggage on the 20th of March, 2020. I took flight, which was the second last flight of Air India from Newark to Mumbai. Herman was usually is very optimistic and very positive because he knows that I like optimism. I don't want them to tell me what is going wrong, but I could sense a fear in his voice. I could sense fear on the streets of New York. New York is the most happening place. It's like Mumbai. I could say a man broke down in the lift. A Chinese man broke down in my elevator. I could see people sort of, suddenly my trainer told me that he can't come. But when I came to New York airport, Air India is full of people, Indians. And usually if there are 300 people, at least 305 people take pictures with me, including the crew and captain. But I was shocked, not because I was covered, my face was covered. There was no interest, anybody showing that they were wanting to take a picture with an actor. So I said, okay, this is fine. New York, people get paranoid or something like that. Everything is there. But in India, it will be the same. Not taking the picture, but there will be an element of expressing your gratitude, thank you, happiness, recognition. But when I landed in Mumbai airport, at Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Airport, I just felt a chill that the atmosphere was the same. And people were more talking about, please, have you got your injection done? Please show us your COVID certificate. Please do this. Please stand behind. Please wear your mask. And when I came out on the street, it felt like a Will Smith film called I Am Legend, where he's the only person who is surviving. And no cars on the streets. Usually Anil gets out of his house and sort of says hello to me because his house is before my house. He sent me a message, don't even think about looking at me for 14 days. My domestic help came down to take my luggage. I couldn't see whether they were happy to see me or not. My son opened the door this much and gave me this elbow bump and said, okay, Dad, I'll see you after 15 days. Now, I'm an eternal optimist. I'm a person who believes in great goodness, that things will be fine. I postpone issues and deal with it. And here, I had never taken an off for 36 years. Never taken an off, because I think that when you're loving something, you don't need an off. And the fear got into me. I genuinely felt, Kiran was in Chandigarh, my mother and my brother were staying about 15 minutes away. And I felt, oh, okay, this is not something to be not taken seriously. Now, I'm a person who looks for silver linings in the darkest clouds, because that's how you have been brought up. कि हमारे घर में रोज दाल सब्जी बनती थी और जिस दिन मटन बनता था या राजमा चावल बनते थे, दैट मीन्स वो हफ्ते में एक बार होता है, 10 दिन में एक बार होता है. बाकी दिन वो बोलते हैं सारी दुनिया यही खाती है. तो हमें पता नहीं था बाहर बाकी अलग अलग किस्म के पदार्थ भी होते हैं. या अल्फा रेस्टोरेंट शिमला में जाना है तो मटन समोसा 6 महीने में एक बार मिलेगा. So I started looking for some kind of sign where I will start re-believing that there is a possibility of goodness, there is a possibility of positivity. And that is when I, first time in 39 years that I have been in Mumbai, I heard birds chirping. मैंने सुने ही नहीं थे. मैंने कोयल की कूक मुंबई में सुनी नहीं थी. या तो मेरे पास टाइम नहीं था, या वो बोलती थी तो शोर में गुल हो जाता था. So I went into my balcony and there was this 2-3 कोयल जो थी, वो तो वो ऐसे करती थी, मैं वापस में जवाब देता था. And I started actually interacting with the koel. And then I looked up and I saw first time the sky is a little blue in Mumbai. Then I said there is a silver lining in things like that. So this is how the beginning of this pandemic started for me.
You talk about silver lining, and I'll come back to that. But I just want to rewind to New York and your life there for the seasons that you were shooting. Tell us a little bit about the shooting of Amsterdam. There itself, you played a doctor and
Dr. Kapoor, and it was so strange. Every season has 22 episodes, and much before, in I think November, we got an episode called Pandemic. At that time, pandemic was not announced. Nothing had happened. In which Dr. Kapoor gets virus. So we shot that whole thing. Everything was like what actually became reality. Masks, people are putting in tents, isolation, etc. Everything. and I was the victim of this. And I was pretending to be weak, pretending because it was written there in the script. So it had come before the actual pandemic hit. That was episode 18. And the restaurants were shutting down as it is. The winter had come in, people, but still in winters, I had spent 2 winters in New York. It's full of life. The shops were shutting, people were not moving out, the vibe of the city. I remember my drive from one day from New York. I went to see my relatives in Connecticut. That is, I actually felt depressed because I could not see any connection of life in New York. New York is a kind of a place, I'm sure must have gone there 1,000 times. You know it, that nothing bothers people, New Yorkers. Nothing. They thrive on the energy of New York, and there was no energy left. My shooting people were suddenly telling us, please wear a mask in between, please sit separately, though there was no code introduced as yet. The last day when we were shooting episode 19th, we got a call from the producers and said, this is the last day of the shoot. We are not shooting for the next 3 episodes, which is 20, 21st and 22nd. And I have few friends, Indian friends, Mr. Dandona and other people who I go, they also said, Anupam, mata, don't come. So the Indian friends whose families I used to go to, they also, and it never happened. We see this in movies. The last time when it must have happened, there is no great record of it, 1918 when Spanish flu happened. We all see these extra strange things happening in movies. And luckily my assistant was there and we were just the two of it. And there is a fear of the unknown, which is worse than the fear of the real. एक ठंड अंदर भी थी, एक ठंड बाहर भी थी. Suddenly this 30th floor that I was living in, from there, I used to every morning get up and think about a new day starting and hope starting and optimism starting and everything happening. And I was seeing gloom. That was the atmosphere that I left that place in.
And Anupam, when you came back to India and Bombay, you yourself then had to encounter firsthand COVID and the corona, and with no less than Dulari Rocks being impacted and affected by corona, and you feeling helpless. Tell us a little about that.
So first 3 months, I could not get out of my house, even though my mother was just about 15 minutes away. Because my brother had said that she can't even go to the elevator, she has to be there only. And my mother was watching TV news and she was saying, "Tu kyun nahi milne aa sakta? Bahar mil le, thoda kya farak padta hai? 2 minute mil le, dur rahenge, haath nahi milayenge." But I did not want to sort of go there because there was complete lockdown, the cars were not moving, etc., etc. And then after almost 80 days of her staying at home, she was constantly complaining about that she does not feel hungry. At that time, lack of hunger was not thought about as a sign for COVID. And then she also was complaining some major pain in her abdomen. So one day we fixed up that we must get her CT scan done. And me and my brother decided to take her for a drive and also get her CT scan done. My mother was so thrilled that she was flanked by 2 of her sons on both sides, and she suddenly felt fantastic and she was going for a drive. She left her mobile at home and we went to this clinic, about 10-minute drive, but we took a longer route and there were people out there. There was this whole thing that you have to sit out, and we took her to this machine. And when doctor came out, he looked grim. We had no clue about that. What is he going to say? I thought, oh my God. He said, no, there is a cyst there, but it is benign. But I'm sorry to say that she is COVID positive. And she has to go to the hospital from here straight away. She can't go back home. That was an unbelievable shock to us because there was no visible sign of her, except for later we came to know that lack of appetite was that a sign. So first we thought, let's just also get our test done. My brother came out and he was also declared COVID positive and I was COVID negative. I immediately felt guilty about it because I said, How is it possible? Now, the most difficult thing was to take back mom from this from this CT scan center to Kokilaben Hospital. And my brother was supposed to go back to his house to get his family done. And my bhabhi also got COVID positive, my niece also. And the most difficult part was to leave my mother at the emergency ward near the emergency section. The mother usually feels that my son is Anupam Kher. He can come to the ward, he can talk to doctors, he can do anything. He is this known actor. Because that's the feeling also we have given her. That डरने की कोई बात नहीं है, सब हो जाएगा, मैं कर लूँगा. That's even if you are not Anupam Kher, you usually tell your mothers that don't worry, I am your elder son, we will get it done. But doctor said you can't come up, and she gave me that look and worried for me because we did not tell her that she has COVID. We said आपको यहाँ पर कुछ problem है जिसके लिए आपको 3-4 दिन रखना पड़ेगा. But she was smart enough to sort of think that something was wrong because she was taken to the isolation ward. Then started this whole rigmarole of me going and sitting in the lobby, waiting for doctor to tell me this is what she's doing now. This is her. So I used to send her videos, and her phone does not have the facility of video. She just wants to dial the number, hear the person. So I used to send videos from various friends of mine, my cousins, Anil, Sat Kapoor, Satish Kaushik, Raju, my brother, and we will send her, Mataji, sab theek hoga, fikar mat karo, try to cheer her up. And she had to be there for 10 days. Those were the most, but you know, the most amazing thing is that how we should believe in the compassion of others. That's why I am the eternal peddler of hope. I always feel that hope is always around us. Hope means life. I used to sit in the lobby, and one day with my face covered and my cap, but they recognize, I've done so many movies, they recognize me even with my face cover. So this lady who was worried, who had come to give lunch to her husband, she said, Anupam ji, aap fikr mat karo, aapki mother theek ho jayenge. I said, thank you very much. Aap kyun aayi hain? My husband is serious here. So when you see compassion of this kind, you believe things will become all right. So that was the scenario. And then finally, doctor said, you can take your mother tomorrow at 5 o'clock home. Then I told my mother, I called her up. I said, Mom, do you want to stick around for a day or two more? She got really so upset. She said, तुम नहीं आओगे कल 5 बजे तक तो मैं खुद टैक्सी लेकर चली जाऊंगी. राजू का दरवाजा तब तक खटखटाती रहूंगी. She became a Nirupa Roy of a film. मैं तब तक खटखटाती रहूंगी जब तक कि वो खोलेगा नहीं. So I went at 3 o'clock. She was ready with her bag. So we have a family joke whenever we want somebody. We say
Ranga Kush.
Ranga Kush, that Jogandar's favorite film. And she said Ranga Kush. And that's how. Even now she sometimes feels कि उसको COVID नहीं हुआ. Because we lost some people to COVID, some people that we knew. But that was a first-hand account of COVID hitting home.
So, Anupam, the other, after you took your mother home, of course, you couldn't go up to your brother's house. You had to leave her in the lift and then return to your own house. And then your own staff in the house one day got COVID and then ran away. The question that I have for you is that, the hawa that COVID has become or had become at that point of time, कि किसी को भी COVID हुआ, this is the end of the world. And in many ways, even in your house where everybody knows everything, your help decided to run away because he just didn't know how to cope with it. How do you feel, or what is the responsibility of people like us to be able to get this word out that this is something that you can fight, there is hope, you don't have to be nirash even if you get COVID. And your book in many ways addresses this as well.
So basically, first is the right information to go. I must say that the Municipal Corporation of Mumbai have done a great job. Mr. Chahal has done a great job because I understood when I called up the Municipal Commissioner, BMC, and I tried to understand. So they said they have hired people from IIT Mumbai who will talk to people. Every time my mother was unwell, my brother was, people from BMC will call up. They had hired counselors who will counsel people. But my cook, he started remaining, he was a little unwell. So I said, iska test karate hain. And when we got the test done and we got that he has COVID positive, so I needed to send him to the a shelter. But BMC called him up. उन्होंने उसको कहा कि हम आपको लेने आ रहे हैं वैन में. तो I think he had a conversation with up somewhere there, God or something. So लेने आ रहे हैं मतलब लेने आ रहे हैं. And it was so funny that when he ran away, I had to run away behind him with a mask and without any shoes, where I needed to explain to him that so information is most important. Number two is compassion. Because क्या ऐसे मौके पर अफवाहें बहुत फैलती हैं. Because news is full of this is what happened, so many people died, Italy में इतने लोग मर गए, यूरोप में बाकी लंदन में इतने मर गए, अमेरिका में 100,000 से ज़्यादा मर गए हैं. तो death also, that if you get COVID, your own family cannot reach out to you. That you will die, that these leaked some strange videos surface and they become viral, that dead bodies are lying in the corridors of the hospital. So I don't blame people, but I think people like you, as you said, or me, need to sort of spread the right information. But the attempt of writing this book also started from there. I needed to feel better, and that sometimes I'm not a professional writer. I only write when I feel the need to communicate something. The whole idea of writing this book was to communicate what you're asking me exactly. That the information, the compassion, to give hope is the most important thing, because you suddenly became an outsider to this world. If somebody is having COVID patient at their house, they also, for precautionary sake, people will put outside the board is building में एक COVID patient है. Now we live in a world of information traveling from one place to another place within seconds. Usme, there are peddlers who sort of all that. But I think overall, there is a certain amount of feeling in this country still. I remember in New York, I was in this whole situation had happened, and I was in an elevator, and there was this elderly lady with a dog. और हमारे को आपको पता है हिंदुस्तानियों की आदत है, we start having this unusual conversation. So I was doing this to dog. Hello, hello. So suddenly this lady turned around and told me, he does not talk to strangers. So I said to her, I'm not talking to him, I was talking to you. Hello, how are you? So I think यहाँ हमारे ऐसा नहीं है. डर तो है, of course डर तो है, वो possible. किसी को भी, आपको भी, मेरे को भी थोड़ी सी गले में खराश होती थी, हल्दी का पानी पीते थे. 1000 बार जिंदगी में खराश हुई है, 1000 बार नज़ला हुआ है, 1000 बार जुकाम हुआ है. We have always dealt with it carelessly. But actually, my Herman's son, who is a 7-8-year-old boy, he was washing hands with me. I had gone to his house after 5-6 months, and he was constantly doing "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday." So I asked him. I said, "Arik, why are you saying happy birthday?" He said, "No, teacher said if you sing it twice, that means 20 seconds you have rubbed soap on your hands." Now this has happened 4 months back. Even now, when I wash my hands, I said happy birthday. It means it looks like some crazy cuckoo guy doing that. So I think compassion is the most important emotion that we need to display in a situation like this.
Anupam, I'll come back to compassion. I mean, one of the things that you talked about, which I thought was very important, you also talked about a duty that each one of us, if COVID has to go any place, we have to do it together because it's here to stay. And you talked about how you discovered that your next door neighbor, the house between Anil Kapoor and your house, somebody had got COVID, but there was construction working going on, and you took it upon yourself,
Yes.
as a duty to intervene. Just focus a little bit on that. And why is it our duty and responsibility?
So you see, it was so strange that we got to know, we live in Juhu, 7th Road, JBPD. First, the news traveled, oh, somebody has got COVID in Andheri. It's like, Dushman yahan tak pahunch gaya hai. Then the next news is, oh, somebody has got COVID on 10th Road, which is 3 roads away from us. And then, oh, somebody has got Karim Murani, which is a friend of ours. His daughter has got, which is about 8 houses away. And then somebody got COVID between my house and Anil Kapoor's house. And the board came out. Yahan par ek COVID patient hai. And one day I got up and there's some construction happening in this parking lot, in this person's parking lot. So I said, "Aap kya kar rahe ho?"
इसे नहीं बस ये थोड़ा सा कंस्ट्रक्शन कर रहे हैं. मैंने कहा क्यों कर रहे हो आप? 5-6 लोग इकट्ठे होके क्यों कर रहे हो आप? And the gentleman whose parking lot they are repairing is giving instructions to them from the window. So he is saving himself, but the workers, poor people, for their dihadi are working downstairs together. So first I said, then I lost my cool. I said, आपको ड्यूटी समझ में आता है? ये ड्यूटी है आपकी कि आप इस तरह से मत करिए, आप गाड़ी में तो कहीं जा नहीं रहे हैं. You're not going out of this thing. He said, नहीं छुट्टी है, एटमॉस्फेयर है तो मैं करा लेता हूँ. And I said, Aisa, how can you do it? So sense of duty is very important and you have to sometimes speak about it even at the risk of being unpopular. हमारी आंख की शर्म जो है ना, we want to be the civilized lot that who does not interfere in other people's matter. No, I think sometimes it's important to interfere when it comes to the matter of duty and responsibility. We have to speak it out because every morning when I used to see the municipal corporation truck coming in, my heart used to go out to those people with all those PPE kits and with the mask on their face. They will pick up those rubbish and put them in the truck. And I used to every day have a chat with them and I used to every day salute them. I have put videos of that.
In fact, your book opens with a tribute to the frontline workers, which
Absolutely.
is very lovely. So, Anupam, you talk about how you've always been a restless soul. You've never been able to, sit still. You've been always wanting to do various things. And then the lockdown came, and in many ways, that sort of completely, you had to sort of come down into a different space. Of course, you talk about meditation and so on and so forth. Tell us a little bit about what happened to you in this lockdown period and that resulting to the book.
So I told you that I've never taken an off in the last 36 years that I have been in movies. Not literally. You will never read it anywhere. You will never know that Anupam Kher is lazing around on the beach of so-and-so place or Maldives or something. I've always gone everywhere with a work. So that gave me a name of a restless soul among my friends. That is restless. But my restlessness has been very productive. The fact that I have been able to write 3 books, the fact that I have been able to run this acting school where I'm sitting here, the fact that I've done 518 films. So for me, restlessness has been always an asset. I tell my students also, restlessness is good. But over here, I had nothing to do. Means I discovered that I have 12 tiles on my roof. I have 11 windows in my house. So I started noticing I have plants outside my balcony. I have different plants. These are the names of my domestic help, Guddu, Madan, etc. Unke pitaji yahan Uttarakhand mein rehte hain. I got to know, and then I realized how distant I had become from life, of the small little things. How we all are running fast nowhere. I also understood the importance of pause. As an actor, I've always understood the importance of pause. Mr. Al-Qazi, my teacher, used to say this is a pause and this is a pregnant pause. And I used to feel very, very elated when I used to use a pregnant pause. Means how long a pause you can hold is what kind of an actor you are. But there was a pause happening in my life. And then I discovered my own breathing. Meditation is, I don't do a regular meditation, but to me, meditation is actually noticing your breath or your breathing. So that made me more restless initially when I became calm. I said, why am I becoming calm? Because all these things become your habit, na? कि आपको उठ के ये करना है, अगर वो नहीं किया तो लगता है एक sense of incompleteness है. Then I started making those videos of Bittu and Anupam Kher. Because there was this constant conflict happening. The calmer I was, the more Bittu I was. The more restless I was, the more Anupam Kher I was. So I started making this video where Bittu is making fun of Anupam Kher. That Bittu is having normal pani, but Anupam Kher says, can I have a kind of a room temperature water from the fridge or from the bottle and things like that. So वो बनाना शुरू किया.
The other thing that you talked about is how you felt it's so important to reconnect with your friends from the past.
Yes, I had a picture which is still with me. I had a picture of my 10th grade
students. All of us have pictures of black and white pictures from our students where headmaster is sitting in the center, with him is the class teacher, and then all of us are with their teenagers. So I took out that picture, and there are about 57 boys in that picture. And I called at least 30 to 35 boys. And when we are in the school, you take the full name. You know, Sanjoy Roy, Vijay Pruthi, Vijay Sehgal, Satish Malhotra, ये सब मैंने उनको कम से कम 30-35 लोगों को फोन किया. And it was so wonderful to be able to speak to Anil Datta. Anil Datta used to come first in my class. And he and me had no connection. But I reached out to him. And after the initial shock of that Anupam Kher is calling us, I think I spread happiness in their life. But also we went back to, oh, yaad hai, Ramlal teacher dande marta tha, because that is what the joys we have forgotten. We are so full of...
We are so busy being busy.
Exactly. That's so true. Yeah.
Anyway, in the book, and I have to now open it up to questions because there are hundreds of questions that have come, but one last. In your book, it's a tinge of sadness. There's a tinge of loneliness. Tell me.
My grandfather used to say, when you understand life, you become sad. I used to always think, why does he say that? But that is what I went through. The more I understood life, the more because of the pause that I took, because of the quietness that we encountered, the more I understood somebody else's point of view. It made me a better person. And the more you understand life, the more melancholic, the more sad you become. But maybe less restless. But sadness is a part of creativity. Today I was reading somewhere that Japan has now Minister of Loneliness. So I think this is what is important. And I don't know whether I should say, I'm glad that you noticed the sadness part of it, but the sadness is understanding life.
It's wisdom. Sadness comes with wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom.
Thank you.
I'm going to go straight to questions and then sort of intercut with that. So Amir Nath asks, Anupam, what according to you is the purpose of being optimistic, and taking from your part about sadness? And how do you think you can live a meaningful life when the news prevents this? And I just want to say, in one of the chapters, yes, Anupam actually says, stay away from the news.
Yes.
But Anupam, over to you.
Yes.
That was a dramatic cue point sound effect right there. Stay away from the news on the phone and it rings.
Yes. No, I feel... sorry, can you repeat the question once again?
What, according to you, is the purpose of being optimistic, and how do you think you can live a meaningful life?
I think every morning, the sunrise brings hope. I have dealt with my life with optimism, but doesn't mean that optimistic person does not feel sad, does not feel depressed. You can only think that, okay, how do you start your life? I have lost my father. I'm sure people in the audience who are listening to this must have lost somebody or other. What made them start all over again? It doesn't mean that I have not missed Rishi Kapoor or Irfan Khan or my father myself, but you have to move on. And that you have to move on to make yourself feel better. The amazing example is Life is Beautiful, that film where the father and son are in the concentration camp, and he's telling his son that we are playing a game. That's optimism. Every time you open your eyes and you actually see sunrise is optimistic. Every time you move out of the house is optimism. You're going to work. Even her asking this question is an affirmation that she believes in optimism. That's the only way to live life.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to take the quick questions because there's so many of them and we've got short time. Jessica asks, you talked about things you discovered about Mumbai because of the lockdown. What revelations and insights did you realize about yourself as well during the lockdown?
Well, I realized, as I told you earlier, I realized that the pause is the most important thing in life. I realized that relationships, it's important to tell people what you feel for them. Not use an emoji on a mobile phone. I'm happy, and then use an emoji. You have to pick up the phone and say, I miss you. Are you fine? I just recently did an Are You Fine challenge. You need to communicate to the most
to the relationship, you take for granted. Like you need to tell your parents every single day, I miss you, I love you. We take love for granted for certain people. We are busy telling new people what we think of them.
Asha Nanavati asks, as a member of SAG and AFTRA and great fans of yours, this is a true honor. What was the most significant turning point or silver lining of your acting career?
From the film Silver Linings Playbook, the most major turning point was a small little fight between me and Mr. De Niro on the set. And that fight made we became best of friends because I spoke about what I felt on that particular incident. But that's a long incident, but that was a change. You need to speak out what you feel, what you believe in. And I have enjoyed the worst performances of mine also. Because they are part of my biodata. I have done the most ridiculous films, but I own them up. I love doing those characters that I've done because to me, life is a journey, not a destination. I love the process. I love this interview. I called you up and said, I want to be part of this festival. That is what communication is all about. So every day is a silver lining.
Ambika asks, you mentioned fear of the unknown is worse than fear of the real. Would you please elaborate?
Yeah, because our mind plays games with us. ये होगा या नहीं होगा इसके 50% chances हैं और 50% chances नहीं हैं. But we always believe कि 50% chances नहीं है. The fear of the unknown is worse. Fear of the unknown means, oh, I'm leaving home. I'm going to meet somebody. Will he or she be late? So we go through. My grandfather used to say, don't go through a problem twice. Once by thinking about it, once by going through it. So I think it can be dealt differently.
Jessica asks, you post such lovely snapshots of your mother on social media, playful videos and photos. What is the most important life lesson Bittu has learned from his mother? Does your ma form a part of your histrionic skills?
No. My father and my mother were married for 59 years. And when you married to somebody for 59 years, he is not only your husband, he is your partner, he is your habit, he is your life, he is your friend, everything. I wanted my mother not to deal with the loss of my father in a way that, so it just started from there. I started doing her videos and putting it on this thing. And then it became the most important thing. Today, my mother is much more important, much more popular than I am. Because a lot of people identify with their mothers and their grandmothers with my mother. My mother has no histrionics except that she is very natural and she is very real, like any mother and any grandmother.
Shrishti Avad asks, has your view on taking breaks from work changed, or do you still prefer working with no downtime? And I'm going to add another question. Rinkita asks, Anupam sir, how are you so calm? Pass me some therav that you have. Love your simplicity.
No, I think I will certainly take. Earlier, I was walking fast nowhere. Now I will walk slowly somewhere. I have cut down on my speed, and it has nothing to do with my physicality, my age, or something like that. I am constantly working on myself on my body. I am calm because I don't lie to myself. I may lie to people sometimes to sort of avoid unpleasantness, but I am very honest with myself. I'm calm because I follow my grandfather's formula that delay your response by 3 seconds and your response will change. Just take a pause. So the lady who asked this question, delay your response. We are too eager to respond immediately because we are having a constant conversation with ourselves. If you actually listen, if somebody says something and you want to sort of immediately pounce on the thing, you just pause and sort of say, "Chalo bolne deta hu." It will change.
A follow-up question from there. Kashish asks, hustle is a trend these days. Many are obsessed with their future, money and success. What would be your message, advice to such people?
No, it's fantastic to be ambitious. It's fantastic to be sort of a go-getter. But don't let, everybody is born with a personality according to me. Personality is how you are comfortable with yourself. If you let go of that personality, then you are neither yourself or not the person that you're wanting to be. I'll just quickly tell you that once my grandfather was eating food and my mother was serving him, and my grandfather was making this sound while eating. He was saying, मेरी माँ ने उनसे कहा कि दादाजी, what are you doing? You're making too much of sound. My grandfather said, बेटा मुझे तो मजा आ रहा, problem तेरी है. So I think as long as we remain original, for me, this is the simplest reason for that. That your fingerprints are not matching anybody's fingerprints in the world. That means you are special. We let go of our specialty in our pursuit of wanting to be somebody else.
Last two quick questions. I can't take all of the others. Amir asks, do you think dreaming is the best way of fulfilling your goals?
How can you fulfill if you don't dream? You have to start with a dream and then follow it up with honesty and hard work. You can't just dream and think things will happen. But dream is optimism, possibility, hope that one day, and also dreams keep changing. When I was 28, my dream was different. Today I'm 65, my dream is different. But it is very important to dream. And it's very important to love yourself. It's very important to love your life. And it's very important to tell people what all you have done to reach wherever you've reached.
Last question, Anupam. Joshi asks, does Bittu have any regrets? Not Anupam Kher, only.
Bittu does not believe in regrets. Bittu loves life. Bittu will never have any regrets because Bittu has noticed his life, and from whatever has happened to Bittu's life has been always fantastic things. Bittu used to stammer. Today he teaches speech in his acting school. Bittu did not have more than two pairs of trousers and shirt. Today I change. I decluttered also, that we'll talk about something. But Bittu, if you connect with your childhood person, you keep. Sanjoy, what I want to tell you is, don't let go of that childhood person who was always there with you. If he or she is with you, you will have fun.
Don't let go of the child in you. Bittu loves life, as we all do. Stay positive. Anupam Kher, new, empathetic, kind, wonderful, outgoing self. Wishing you all the very best. And didn't even get around to what are you going to do next. A quick, what's your next project before I hand it over?
I just yesterday heard Suraj Barjatia's script, a film called Unchai, which is an amazing script, very different from the usual Rashri production. It's a travelogue about three old men. It's fantastic. I'm very excited about that. And my Kashmir Files is ready. I did another film called Last Show. So I'm very excited about these things that I've done.
Do you head back to New York anytime soon, or is that over?
I'm settled back here now.
Welcome back to India. On that happy note, Anupam, may your book sell 1 million copies, and may you continue to be positive.
Thank
and
you.
Spread your love and joy. Best regards to Dulari Rocks. Ankur, over to you.
Thank you, Kher Saab. Thank you, Sanjoy, for such deep insights into handling issues of prime importance and relevance in our world today. And thank you for your very, very positive energy. We thank our celebration partner, Diageo. Thank you all for watching and being such a great audience. Please stay logged on to continue to watch with us the series of exciting sessions featuring a stellar list of speakers that have been specially curated for you. As you all are aware, the cultural sector has been critically impacted by the pandemic. And while we have braced ourselves to embrace the new normal, we have struggled to ensure that we can continue to bring you a free flow of knowledge and ideas. We would love for you to support us at Teamwork Arts. Any contribution is welcome and would help spread knowledge and ideas seamlessly against all odds. Please tweet using hashtag Jaipur Literature Festival 2021 at Jaipur Lit Fest. The festival is protected by Dettol. We hope to see you in the next session.